To be honest, they really should have just gone with this theme instead of the overworld theme. Not that the overworld theme isn't good and all. It's really good. But I just have a feeling that this more fits. Telltale Heights is my favorite song in Link's Awakening because it just sounds so adventurous, and the remake gave it so much more depth. Like, it was already my favorite song in Link's Awakening for all that I've experienced there and all that I listened to. It's one of my favorite Zelda remixes in Smash. And it's the only Link's Awakening remix in Smash, even to this day. But Telltale Heights here, so good. It's really good. Thank you, autosave. Anyway, hello there, everybody, and welcome to part 7. Or is this part 7? Is it part 7 or is this part 8? I think it is part 8. Yeah, it's part 8 of Legend of Zelda Link's Awoke. So, on the last time with Link's Awoke, we did a lot of secret seashell collecting, and we got a lot of heart pieces. And we got to see some really cool stuff with our power bracelet in tow. So today, we're going to check out a brand new feature added to Link's Awakening. So, Dampé wasn't in the original game as far as I'm aware. Well, technically no. No. He wasn't even there in the original. Because the Link's Awakening came before Ocarina of Time, where Dampé first appeared. So, yeah. This is something entirely new to the remake. Dampé's shack. Hey, there you are. I want to show you something interesting. You've gone poking in some of the ruins on this island, I can tell. I make little chambers based on these dungeons. Put some chambers in the slab back there, and it turns into a real dungeon. How's that work, you ask? Who knows? But I want your help testing the limits of this thing. I want to hear about the dungeons you've seen. It inspires me to make new chambers for you. With a few chambers, you can make basic dungeons. With a bunch, you can make complicated ones. See if you can use what you got to finish the challenges I gave you. Though you're not done once you finish arranging a dungeon, you gotta adventure through it too. I'm no designer though. I'm no adventurer either. That's all up to you. I'll make the risk worth it. Impress me and there's treasure in it for you. Is that a chamber stone you got there? I'll make special chambers out of those. Bring them to me when you find them. You look like you've been through a lot. Sit down and tell me all about it. We got some new chambers. So every time you complete a new dungeon, you can get some new chambers based on rooms in these dungeons. What are you here for? And yes, we will discuss amiibo functionality soon. Well, whenever we get more dungeons anyway, or more dungeons done. So, this is something brand new to Link's Awakening, and to the remake in general. Dungeon making. So, you can actually design your very own dungeons based on preset rooms. Which, it's kind of cool. So, you have all these rooms based on the dungeons that you've seen. And considering there are 8 instruments at the sirens, there are going to be 8 dungeons. So, imagine how full this will be. So, of course, you have your entrances, your nightmares, and also your room number 1s with your single exits, rooms with 2 exits, and rooms with 3 exits in them. Now, keep in mind that you can only use rooms that have you know, yeah, keep in mind that you can only use rooms from the dungeons that you've actually completed. And don't worry about a thing. An exit in a chamber might turn into a locked door or a shutter depending on what chamber you hook it up to. There are rules for which type of exit gets the right of way. You'll learn them pretty quick as you go. So this dungeon maker basically makes it so that the last treasure that you get will always be the nightmare key. So that's good. And of course, we're going to be using this one a lot. All right, so let's use this one. Sometimes you think you're all set, but a chamber isn't turning from red to blue like it should. When this happens, press Y to check to see what the deal is. So basically, if a dungeon room is blue, that means it's all set and ready to go. But if it's red, that means it doesn't have an exit in it yet. So we want to fill it up with as much stuff as possible. Yes, basically fill it up with as much stuff as we possibly can. And yeah, right here. When the entrance lights up green, that means your job is done. Press A on the entrance to go adventuring through your shiny new dungeon. While you're on your adventure in the chamber dungeon, I'll set you up with all the bombs and such that you need. Once it's over, though, you'll have whatever you had before. So, you know, that's pretty simple. You know, it's a pretty simple dungeon. And that's why we're going to go through it right here and right now. So, this is something that's entirely optional, but it's required for completionists. The goal of an adventure in this dungeon is to get to the end and beat the nightmare. Try not to run out of hearts before you get there. If you want to quit before an adventure's over, you can do so with the obvious method. And of course, this is also basically a time attack mode, so try to see how fast you can get through a dungeon. You get 1 rupee, yay! This dungeon, however, doesn't have any prerequisites that I designed it for, so don't you worry about a thing at all. Don't worry. It's not like a dungeon is, like, entirely impossible or anything. They have to design it or auto-design it so that, you know, the very last thing that you get is the nightmare key, or they have to make sure that you get all the keys that you need. Can this Buzzy Beetle get out of the way, please? Never mind, I can just jump over it. It's no issue. So obviously, because I made this, like, intentionally incredibly easy. This is also part of a quest chain, by the way, so you're gonna have to do these if you want further rewards for your chamber dungeons. And once again, we get these boos out of here. And then get the chest. Which, if you actually do fill a chamber dungeon with a lot of chests, you could get a lot of rupees. And by the end of it, you get to keep them all, which is actually kind of nice. You rearrange the dungeons the same way, and you basically have your money's worth in rupees. Which, speaking of wallets, I don't believe there are any wallet upgrades in this game. So, the maximum amount of rupees that you can carry is what you see on screen right now. And of course, here's the nightmare key. And yeah, simple. Of course, this was designed by me to be intentionally easy, so there you go. There you go. And of course, you remember Moldorm from like a few episodes ago. You remember. And how it's very easy to just kill him in the spin attack just like that. Speedrun mode. And there we go. Dungeon Arranging 101 is very much clear. What a show! There were times I swear you had 1 foot in the grave. A thrill like that deserves something from my collection in exchange. You get a new chamber from that. So every quest you complete, you get a brand new chamber. And of course, you get to keep all the treasures that you got, aka all the rupees. And of course, I want to do this next thing. See those tiles with the treasure chest and the locked door marks? That's where you put chambers that have stuff in them. You get keys to open locked doors out of treasure chests. Be sure you place enough chests to make it through. Sad to see an adventure run out of keys. Captain Keys. You always need an entrance and a nightmare's lair. That's the basic rule of chamber dungeons. Some tiles have a treasure chest or locked door marks. You see one of those, you gotta put a chamber on it that has what it wants. Now, unfortunate as that might be, which, again, it is sort of unfortunate that you do need to do this sort of part a little bit. However, it matters not. It matters not. Because you can rearrange them in whatever order you like. Which means I can just be a puss and just keep on doing the same pattern over and over again. Just to get these side quests over with. Ha ha! Ha ha! And also Yahoo! Yahoo! Let's see. I want to do it like this. Wait, actually, no. Yeah, see, this is where it can get a little bit complicated, given the fact that you're kind of sort of limited. Well, kind of sort of limited, aka, they're kind of sort of limited in the fact that you need to have, you know, a spot where you can just... Actually, no, this is not really that bad, actually. I can just do it like this, absolutely no problem whatsoever. See, easy. Easy, easy peasy. And of course, you can record your arrangements here, which basically means saving it. And if you want to save your arrangement permanently, then you need to save your game, or you need to save your file. So yeah, now we have to deal with a dungeon that has a locked door. Very fortunately, treasure chests auto-generate rewards for you. So it's not that hard. It's not even that hard. We're just basically using some of the same rooms that we did last time. And I'm basically doing this just to get it over with. Okay. So, here's my stance on this whole chamber dungeon thing. It's cool. I think it's pretty cool that they have this sort of dungeon maker thing in Link's Awakening. The ability to make your own dungeons out of preset dungeons could actually be the precursor to a potential Zelda dungeon maker game. You know, because Mario Maker 1 and 2 were so successful that, you know, it would be pretty dumb not to make a Zelda dungeon maker game at all, where you can use this system to make your own dungeons based on stuff in Link's Awakening. In fact, I wouldn't mind this being like sort of an app. Like, they should just release this app for free, this theoretical app for free. That way, you can make your own dungeons and you can share them with people online through this app. Like, for real. You can really do this like that. However, there's the big however. Even though this feature is pretty cool, even though it is pretty cool that you can make your own Zelda dungeons like this, there's just one big problem. This game doesn't support online. Link's Awakening for Nintendo Switch doesn't support online. Now, why should that matter? Well, Link's Awakening is purely a single-player experience. And nothing more than that. Sort of like how the past 2D Zelda games were at the time. And they have this really cool feature that could have made Link's Awakening's remake stand out because of the dungeon maker aspect. And here's where I think they kind of dropped the ball on this. They dropped the ball on the fact that the dungeon maker doesn't have the ability to share your dungeons. At least, well, I wouldn't say it's entirely, non-shareable. In fact, like, I'm gonna look this up after, we get done with all of our business here. Because we be placing the basics, which wasn't even that hard to go through. You get another chamber from that, but we pretty much caught up on our dungeons. So, Amiibo. So, through Amiibo, which I have my Link's Awakening Amiibo right there, you'll be able to store chambers and receive chambers. So, that is cool. In fact, again, I'm going to look this up even though the game just basically told me that. So yes, through the power of Amiibo, you can store dungeons, receive dungeons, and get a special chamber from doing so, which we will tackle later. I am going to save the Amiibo functionality for another time, because once we get more dungeons completed, we'll have more sets of rooms so that we can actually, make use of Amiibo. But just so you're aware, there is a Link's Awakening Amiibo that you see on screen right now, and I do actually have it on my shelf. And, yeah. And it also gets you some special stuff. Alright, so, yeah. Having to pay to essentially store your dungeons and receive dungeons only through local means kinda sucks. Like, really, it kinda stinks. Like, this is basically your only way of doing it. Getting any Zelda amiibo, or just basically any amiibo, really, I think. Or basically only Zelda amiibo? Yeah. Yes, yes, Legend of Zelda amiibo, yes. So only Zelda amiibo can unlock these features. So doesn't matter if you have a Zelda Link amiibo or 35th anniversary, or yeah, what am I trying to say? Doesn't matter if you have a Smash Brothers Link amiibo or whatever else. Doesn't matter if you have a 8-bit Link or whatever. Doesn't matter if you have a Link's Awakening Link amiibo. Any amiibo that's based on a character from the Zelda series will work. And having that being your only way of storing dungeons and sharing dungeons with other players just sucks. Because, again, there's no online functionality. That would have been, like, the easiest thing in the world. That would have been the easiest thing in the world to implement. Like, I know Nintendo doesn't get online and everything. But at the very least, Mario Maker clearly proves that you can share your courses absolutely no problem online. So I don't really get what's the deal with, like, not being able to share the dungeons that you made online, because that would have been really cool. That would have made Link's Awakening remake stand out. Other than just being, well, I'm just going to say it, straight up remake that's worth $60, which I will talk about that whenever the time comes. But, I mean, it's not like I don't think this is a necessarily bad remake. I think it's a pretty good one. Straight up, but I think it's good. It's basically the way I experienced Link's Awakening, and I'm very glad I did, but, you know. I'm just saying. The ability to actually share dungeons online would have been nice. But, nah. We can't have everything we want in this life, so... Unfortunate as that might be... at least the idea is there. I guess. So we will do all the other chamber dungeon quests as we complete more dungeons. I'm thinking about going to the chamber dungeon every 2 dungeons that we complete. So, yeah. Shame about the chamber dungeons, but it is what it is. Anyway, we are all done with that. So, on the next time with Link's Awakening, we are going to head over to Ukuku Prairie, and we're going to make our way over to our next destination. So, see you guys on the next time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. This is like the 10th time in a row we've been at Mabe Village. Like, when will it end?